So the first person I'm going to introduce is Debbie Brotherton, who is the president of South West Lancs National Education Union. It was our union branch that sort of took the initiative in organising today's demo.
I don't know, am I? I didn't know I was president.
Acclaimed now.
Promoted. Good afternoon, everybody. Can everyone hear me okay? Fantastic. My name's Debbie, and like I'm sure others that are here today, I was born in this town. I've lived here for most of my life, and I've worked as an educator here for over 2 decades. The shocking events of the last fortnight, I'm sure, have left us all with a range of emotions. Sadness, repulsion, anger, disgust, and even confusion. We look at these events and try to work out just what on earth is going on. We watch the news and try to understand what makes a person attack innocent children. Then we watch in horror as other people use that as an excuse to attack police and set alight a hotel containing other children. It's a lot to get our heads around, and it's easy to feel hopeless, to feel that there is no way to bridge the gap between us and them. As educators, we often spend time trying to understand and explain difficult concepts to young people. During the last 20 years, we've seen a worrying rise in the way that the internet is being used to manipulate young minds. And it can often seem that we're pushing back against a tide of negative online influences on them. Recent events have made me realise it's not only young people who fall prey to these manipulators. We have all seen and read things online that are untrue. We've all been guilty of falling prey to the clickbait, because much of it is designed to show us more of what it thinks we want to see. Is it any wonder then that those who seek to divide us are able to use online media as such an effective tool in pushing their narrative and claiming that theirs is the majority view? We know our country has a lot of problems, but let's be clear that hatred, scapegoating and violence will never give us any solutions. Daniel Kabady, General Secretary of the NEU, recently released a statement offering our condolences to the families of the girls murdered in Southport, in which he also said, and I quote, "The exploitation by far-right groups of the violent, heartbreaking attack on children is truly shameful." He went on to say there are many children who are going to bed at night worried and frightened by events taking place in their communities. We cannot stand by and allow this to happen. Last Monday, I walked into town, as I often do, to post some items at our local post office counter. I was greeted by a handwritten sign telling me it was closed following police advice, resulting from a concern that our brilliant town was to be the next victim of violent disorder. In the event, this disorder thankfully did not materialise, but I was left wondering how members of our community must have felt when they received that warning and took the decision to close their businesses. In Daniel's words, this violence must provide a watershed moment for change. So what might that change look like? What can we do to push for a better future for our children? Firstly, we need to be willing to call out hate wherever we see it. For instance, that casual mention of too many immigrants, which seems all too common. We need to educate ourselves so we can patiently explain that asylum seekers are not illegal immigrants. We need to speak up with compassion for our values and for unity in our diverse community. Most of all, we need to work together, as we've seen in so many communities recently, people from all walks of life standing side by side to not only clean up the broken glass, but to talk and to listen to each other. Education has to be part of the solution. We need to educate ourselves and take our part as active citizens to understand the systems at work in our democracy and to push for the change we want to see. We need to open up conversations with young and old about these difficult and divisive issues, and we need to hold those in power to account by demanding a more grown-up politics which does not reduce complex problems to sound bites or simple two-sided arguments. Most of all, we need to remind ourselves of the things which unite us. We need to look into each other's eyes and see the humanity we were all born with, and that we all want security and shelter and our basic human rights to be respected. We need to use our voices now to speak up for justice and unity. We need to make it clear that hatred and racism will never be welcome in this town or in our great country. Thank you so much for listening.